I've been hearing of this one for quite a while now. Funnily enough, I first heard about it from a colleague at work who doesn't even watch movies that much. He's more into TV shows, but he knew this little indie darling long before it was released, or that famous. I mean, it probably still isn't big, but reviewers like Chris Stuckman and others have seen and recommended it by now. Recently the Blu-ray release was announced in my region, and I saw that it was even released to the cinemas here. Even better, it was playing in a city nearby, so I shaked off my crippling depression, took the next train and saw it in a small art house cinema, with only one screen in a room that is probably twice as big as my living room. And it was really nice. The crowd was small, but they were just the right people. But to be honest, most people will probably like this one. Despite being very niche and a special interest movie, it is a real crowd pleaser. But what even is it? Well, Hundreds of Beavers is a kind of silent movie. A super low budget black and white comedy movie by the same guys who made the also kind of good Lake Michigan Monster. And the OK Lips, which is a show of very short webisodes. But this one was a step up from that in my opinion. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Hundreds of Beavers starts with an Applejack who is having a big party with some lumberjacks and has the time of his life. This is until some beavers are snacking on his cake, making it roll away, and the other one he tries to catch rolls into his house and makes it explode, together with his apple plantation. This leads to a prologue in which the Applejack is trying to survive while nature is trying to beat him down, sometimes quite literally. Eventually he finds a fur trader and a merchant, and once the fur trader meets his demise, he himself takes on the job of a fur trader and hunter. With the knowledge of the fur trader, he starts his career and we get the title prompt. The first part, the quite long prologue, is now followed by the Applejack's journey to gain experience in hunting the various animals and improving his skills. I read that the movie was not just inspired by old black and white comedies of Buster Keaton and the likes, but also Let's Plays. And after thinking about it, I can see it now. The guy is basically going through levels and gains experience and equipment. The merchant obviously serves the same purpose as the merchants in games.
Then that might interest you.
But the former Applejack doesn't just want to get a lot of money or the supplies of the merchant. No, he wants the merchant's daughter. And after seeing more from her than I ever expected, I think everyone can understand that. The traps and the hunting become more and more ridiculous. And like the Lake Michigan Monster, the grand finale is absolute insanity. But it's still very much fun and not quite as exhausting and insane as the Lake Michigan Monster's final. Overall, this movie felt more refined and well put together. Of course you see the low budget throughout the movie, but the filmmakers make this weakness their strength. And they make it funnier because of it. The animals are mostly just some mascot costumes wearing extras. The sets are green screens with simple backgrounds. The party scenes from the beginning show the lumberjacks as crude drawings. Same goes for some animals like birds. The animals often trip and fall, being super clumsy because of the costumes. And sometimes they even lose a shoe or a head of the costume. They also cut off some of the animals and show heart pillows, fillings or some wool organs. The whole movie feels like a cartoon with people in it, and it works much better than it has any right to. Well, the characterization of a silent movie is not 100% warranted. It's more like a non-verbal movie, I would say. There is hardly any dialogue. The only line that is spoken is cut off by a bleeping sound in one of the funniest jokes in the movie. but there's a lot of sound going on. It's more like an old cartoon than an actual silent movie in that sense. But there are some references to silent movies, especially Buster Keaton. They basically have the house facade falling on a guy joke in here. Regarding the sound, you don't hear anyone speak, but they are making noises. Also, you hear the animals just perfectly fine doing animal noises, and also all surrounding sound effects. You also don't really have to read much. There's only one sequence of events, there's only one scene where you have titles intercut into the movie. Everything else is just mumbling or pointing or gesticulating around, and it's fine. There is in the beginning a song though, that is played over the titles, over the intro. So it's not a completely silent movie, and there is not permanently some sound or score playing in the background. It's more like an old cartoon, as I said. It's very much like a Looney Tunes cartoon, but without the dialogue. So if that's up your alley, you should give it a watch. Hundreds of Beavers is a pretty good time. It just feels so innocent and good-hearted. While there is some crude humor and it's nothing too bad or distasteful. It just feels good and wholesome. Like a bunch of people who just want to make a fun movie that makes people laugh, and they made it work. Mike Cheslick did a really good job as director and writer, and Ryan Tewes gave us a pretty amazing, almost one-man show of a comedy. He really is carrying this movie, and he does a pretty good job. Sure, the movie isn't perfect. It's a bit too long, and some running gags, especially at the beginning, are just too repetitive. But to see what these guys pulled off for $150,000 is just amazing and inspiring. I love that there are some super low budget filmmakers coming with pretty great ideas and projects, and I hope there is more coming. This feels like an 8 out of 10, but because I respect what they did so much, I will give it a 9. So what will you do, sue me?